Zombieland Double Tap is out in cinemas now. The zombie comedy starring Jesse Eisenberg, Woody Harrelson, Emma Stone, and Abigail Breslin. And it's another one of those sequels that come many, many years after the original movie. The first Zombieland was released all the way back in 2009, which is 10 years ago now. And I'm always a little cautious about situations like these, but there have been positive examples in recent years. Trainspotting and Blade Runner come to mind, and in both cases, those sequels that came many years after the originals were better than they had any right to be. So having those in mind and having enjoyed the original Zombieland, I was reluctantly optimistic. And then the movie started, and for the first 15 minutes or so, I feared the worst, because the scenes were not very funny and they seemed disjointed, kind of disconnected, not really bound together by a single solid plotline, more like a random string of gags. So I was preparing myself for disappointment. But then, after those first moments, the film found its stride and got better and better as time went on. Once the actual plot kicks in, it becomes much more enjoyable. The story begins with the gang from the previous film living in an abandoned White House. At one point, Little Rock, played by Breslin, leaves the rest and escapes with a newly met hippie nicknamed Berkeley. And the remaining three basically get into a car and go chasing after her, trying to bring her back. And they venture initially towards Elvis Presley's old mansion, but the story ends up taking them to a couple more unexpected places, where they encounter new types of zombies and other survivors. And I think that the key strengths of the film are character interactions and humor that is, for lack of a better word, patient. What I mean by that is that a lot of the gags are set up way in advance and are not immediately rushed to the punchline. And there are also more than a few running jokes where each time there's something new built upon the previous thing. As for character interactions, the chemistry between the main cast, the main four, which was the driving force between the success of the original Zombieland, is still here. And almost all of the new additions are great as well. At one point, the group meets two guys who seem to be carbon copies of Harrelson and Eisenberg, and the resulting exchanges are quite hilarious. And around that point, there's also an incredibly entertaining sequence, probably my favorite of the film, with multiple characters fighting zombies, which is done as a single continuous shot. But the camera is constantly on the move, running along with the characters, turning from one to another, just very dynamic, lively stuff. And in general, the movie looks pretty good. The set pieces are fun and creative. Some of the jokes are built around the scenery as well. And the fact that it's essentially a road trip kind of thing keeps things fresh and changing. It's also pretty obvious that all of the actors are having genuine fun with the roles. I think the standout performances here are Emma Stone and especially Woody Harrelson, who is just incredibly entertaining from start to finish. So much like the film, again, not counting the very beginning of it, because the film isn't entertaining. I found myself laughing quite a lot, probably more than I expected to, and in general just having a lot of fun. Not much more to say, honestly. It's a simple popcorn flick, but a pretty good one.